The Orioles with the Angels sweep. Sir Anthony Dominguez on fire. Gary Sanchez is back and hit 2 dingers this weekend. What is the key to the Orioles turning it all around? Hello, everybody. I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest. The Birds sweep the Angels this weekend. It's almost like a tale of Jekyll and not Brandon Hyde. Think about that one for a second. The Birds all of a sudden come out of their shell hitting lefties. We're going to get to that. The bullpen, get this, number 2 in the entire league in stranding inherited runners. We're going to get to that, and we're going to break it all down for you, what the Birds need to do now, moving forward, a setback with Tyler O'Neill. We're going to have other updates as well. Please like, subscribe, do all of the things, because look, your Birds are only 6 games out of the wild card right now. This just became, on June 15th, a baseball season for the Orioles. And I know all the haters are going to come at me right now. But mark my words, we always thought the pitching was going to be the problem, not the hitting. Well, the pitching has been remarkably solid, particularly over the last month. Now it appears, now that the Birds are getting healthy, the bats are coming alive. So this could start to get really, really fun. Our friend Jacob Meyer tweeting, the Birds have gone 4-2 in each of the past 3 weeks. Their record, if they keep playing at this 667 pace, 91-71. That makes them a wild card team. Now look, nobody's sitting here and saying that the Birds can or will play at this 667 pace. But do they have the talent? Yes. Do they have the capability? Yes. And so far, is Tony Mansolino pushing the right buttons? Yes. Tony got a lot of flack after the Orioles, before this series with Anaheim, when he said that the Birds were showing improvement with hitting lefties, and he was encouraged by some of it after they had played against Tariq Skubal. But he got a lot of flack for that. But in this series, the Birds ended up hitting lefties, and it started with getting healthy. You have Westy back in the lineup, you have Gary Sanchez, and you have Ced, and you have Ramon Laureano back, but it was Gary Sanchez who was the spark for the Birds. Where is my man Gary? That's Sir Anthony. Little cutoff of Gary, but you know what? Let's just go full on then. Let's just go full on and show Gary Sanchez's granny today. Here it is. Goodbye, baseball. Gary Sanchez puts the game out of reach at 9-2 as he goes yard. And you got to look at these Gary Sanchez numbers of what he has done the past 2 games. Now, granted, he even said he wasn't feeling well back in April before he went on the IL, and his numbers reflected that. He was terrible at the plate. I think it was a 170 average or something. But the past 2 games, 7 at-bats, 3 runs, 3 hits, 2 dingers, and 5 RBI. Gary Sanchez is back. And speaking of back, yesterday, every batter reached. These are against lefties, mind you. Today, every batter except Dylan Carlson reached. As I mentioned, both games were started by lefties. Kikuchi hadn't given up more than 4 runs all year. He gave up 5 against the Birds today. It may sound like a little thing, but the Birds have gone in 2 games from a 200 average against lefties to 210. That's actually a pretty big jump in 2 games. And keep in mind, the Birds scored 11 today on a day when, let's see, who was not in the lineup? Jackson wasn't in the lineup. Adley wasn't in the lineup. Ryan O'Hearn wasn't in the lineup. And Colton Cowser wasn't in the lineup. None of these guys were in the lineup. A very bright spot for the Birds if they can actually start to hit lefties. Speaking of the bullpen, between this man, Keegan Aiken, and this man, Sir Anthony Dominguez, and the other boys in the pen, the Birds are all of a sudden second in the majors in not allowing inherited runners. Only 21% of inherited runners have scored against the Orioles. That is second in all of Major League Baseball. And if you want to see some impressive numbers, and I know you all do, Seranthony Dominguez in the past 3 weeks since May 26th, 9 1/3, 2 hits, 0 runs, 3 walks, 16 strikeouts. Seranthony Dominguez, 16 strikeouts. Clearly, that's a 0 ERA. It's a .536 whip and an almost 49% strikeout rate. That is Seranthony Dominguez, and that is what you need from the back end of your bullpen. That is absolutely what you need. And when you add in the likes of Keegan Aiken, and you add in how effective Felix has been, and you add in Andrew Kittredge, all of a sudden the Birds are showing signs of life. Now, you're probably wondering about some other, as some would call, bird droppings. So I'm going to give you some very, very quick updates because I know that's why you come here. First of all, I did forget to tell you, I'm going to come back to these updates for a second because in case you missed it, Charlie Morton struck out 10 on Friday night, in case you missed it. And we'll break down Charlie tomorrow because he's been fantastic and outstanding, close to Seranthony numbers over the past, say, 4 or 5 weeks. We're going to break that down, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. But let's go back to some updates. Not such great news on the Tyler O'Neill front. The Orioles have basically shut him back down. And, you know, he's going to get an injection again. He has that left shoulder impingement, but he's been on the injured list since mid-May. He's been shut down from AAA. He's not going to do any baseball activities for at least another week. So that's bad news. On the good news side, Tyler Wells, he threw about 25 pitches in the pen on Saturday at the yard, mainly fastballs mixed in some changeups. Unclear when he'll face live hitters, but definitely a step in the right direction. And look, there is a tiny bit of concern about Tomoyuki Sugano. Not horrible, but, you know, he's had a recent rough patch. There's no doubt about it. 4.5 ERA over his past 4 starts. And he's allowed 27 hits. Tony Mansolino saying he's been a tick off. What that is, I'm not quite sure. So we just hope that Sugano is healthy and that this isn't a health issue. But as you see here, nothing wrong anymore with Gary Sanchez as he goes yard. The Orioles sweep the Angels 6 games out of the wild card. This is Orioles Digest. I'm Jon Leiberman.